Good day and welcome to another edition of One-on-One with Swope Health. I am your host, Eric Wesson. Thanks so much for joining us today. We've got a great show planned for you. Guess what? A lot of people have a misconception about LINC, Kansas City's premier agency that helps kids and helps seniors and just helps everybody in Kansas City. So today we're going to learn more about LINC so that people won't think that they're a banking investment company. And joining us today is the president and CEO of LINC, Ms. Janet Miles Bartee. Janet, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you all for inviting me, and good morning to everyone.
Okay, so let's talk about Janet first, and then we'll jump into LINC. Where's Janet from?
I'm from Arkansas. I was born and raised in Arkansas. I was born in a little place called El Dorado, but soon after that, my family moved to Little Rock. So I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, attended grade school through high school in Little Rock, Arkansas, and then attended Philander Smith College in Arkansas.
Okay. And then moved to Kansas City?
Moved to Kansas City about 26 years ago.
Is that right?
And so that's kind of where my career started here in Kansas City.
Okay. And what did you start here with your career?
Yes. When I moved to Kansas City, I started working for Kansas City School District. I was a teacher in the district. And from there, I began to work with LINC. I was teaching in the district and took a part-time job at LINC as a after-school teacher. And after I worked at LINC for a year being an after-school teacher in one of their programs, they asked me would I come on full-time. So the following year, I became the site coordinator at a school that is now closed, Ladd Elementary School. Mm-hmm. And I ran the programs at Ladd Elementary School for LINC. And from there, I went to Garcia and stayed in Kansas City School District a number of years. After being with LINC about 8-9 years, I became a supervisor. And from there, I became the supervisor over the supervisors. And then I became the vice president and then president and CEO.
Okay.
So I kind of came up through the ranks.
You came up, so you know all aspects of what the agency is about.
Oh, yes.
That's good. That's always a good road to travel. So what is LINC?
You know, I think the best way to describe LINC is just a hub, a caring communities for the communities and the people and children we serve. So we have lots of programs that we do at LINC, and I think what we're most known for is the before and after school programs that we serve in 7 school districts here and 54 schools. So we're most known for those before and after school programs, but LINC is so much more than before and after school. Even in our before and after schools, we serve the whole child, and that is whatever it takes for a child to be successful in school. And I'll give you an example. If a student comes to school and they need clothes, or they need food, or they need utility assistance, whatever it takes to help that child be successful in school and to support the families. We also are responsible for the TANF population, welfare to work. We do foster children who are trying to age out of foster care. We help those children. We also have a Chafee program. And so LINC does a lot of things. I like to say LINC is whatever the community needs.
Really?
And I think we proved that, I want to go back to COVID. When we came out of the schools, we started working in the community. But one of the things that we did, we partnered with Morningstar, and LINC and Morningstar together gave out more vaccinations during COVID than any other agencies other than hospitals. And that's a work we never thought we would be doing, but that's what the community needed at the time. And that's what we pride ourselves on. It's really being there for the community and whatever that need is.
And I remember during the COVID period, sometimes the line would be around the corner and Reverend Miles would call, Eric, I need you to let people know we're giving shots out here, vaccinations out here. So was COVID a hard reset for LINC since there wasn't schools and you all had to make some other adjustments, but were you still able to function?
Yes, we were, but I think COVID also got us back to our core mission, because even though we're in schools, our core mission is community, serving community and whatever that need is. And COVID forced us to really dig deep back into that mission. Kids were not in schools, and so we had to go to their homes. We made home visits during that times. Even though children were operating online, we would go to homes and find out that they didn't even have internet access, or children didn't have computers, or they didn't have hotspots. So we were out there, banging on doors every day. What can we do for you and your family so that your children are successful during this time? So not only were we involved with the COVID shots, but also food distribution. And we were one of the agencies who was able to get out more rental and utility assistance during COVID than any other agency. We got out more than $4.5 million to our community for rental and their utility assistance.
Mm-hmm. So what's the most compassionate part of it?
I think for me, it's helping people not only be successful, but helping them to figure out how do they remain successful. Yes, we can pay your rent, we can pay your utilities, but what are you going to do next month? How do we help you how do we help you remain successful? And I think that's what's passionate for me, because no matter what we do for children and families at LINC, there has to be a component in place where they are able to be stable for longer than a month. And so just really supporting families, building relationships, and that's huge. The community trusts LINC. When they see those blue shirts, they know that they can trust us. So just the relationships that we have with the families.
So among the school programs you have, one of the ones that you mentioned was making sure that the kids had food to go home over the weekends.
Yes.
And I remember Dr. Marge Williams telling me, introducing me to that concept, because it's something that you really never think about, is what are the kids going to eat over the weekend when they have issues at home. So you all make sure that the kids have weekend lunches?
Yes, we make sure that children who need to take food home during the weekends have enough to sustain them until they're back Monday morning for breakfast. Yes.
And that's for the whole family?
That's for the whole family.
So
yes.
If it's like 6 people in the family, y'all provide meals for them, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for
yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yes.
What about on holidays?
The same thing. If we know that a family does not have food to sustain them during the holidays, we will make sure that that family gets food. And not just that when you got children, it's more than breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got to have some snacks in the house too. So we make sure that that family is stable, through the holidays. And we are even when our children have the break from summer school, while they're waiting on regular school to start, we are doing those well checks with their families.
That is great. And making sure their utilities are on?
Yes, yes.
What about children that speak Spanish or they don't speak English? How do you all help those kids?
Well, we have people who work for LINC who are able to speak those different languages. And so we're able to, work with those families as well,
Do you all do any work in the classroom? Let's say a child is struggling in math or reading or English. Do you all help in those areas?
Yes, we do have full-time staff who are in the schools that will sometimes tutor during the day, but mostly they have relationships with the teacher and the principal. And if a child is struggling, then we pick up with that child in those areas during the before and after school program.
So you said that you're in several schools in the area. So that's Kansas City Public Schools. Where else?
We're in Kansas City. We're in Hickman. We're in Center, Grandview, North Kansas City, Fort Osage, Tolbert, and Genesis.
Okay.
We are all partners with those school districts.
Okay. Those Genesis and Tolbert, those are charter
schools. Yes.
Okay, so any other charter schools you all?
Those are the only charter schools that we're working with at this time.
So how does a school become involved with LINC?
Usually the superintendents reach out to us, and we start to work with them on the need and what we can do to support them. And so We have a couple of charter schools who have reached out to us for next school year that we're going to try to support. But, Eric, I have to be honest, there are some budget cuts coming down the line, which is going to, maybe keep us from supporting the way that we would want to in other schools.
So you all are going to be affected by federal cuts or state cuts, or what
Both.
cuts?
Both.
Really?
We will be affected by federal cuts and state cuts, and we've already been affected by some of the federal cuts.
But you operate basically off of donors.
No, our budget is basically state and federal funding.
Really?
Yes.
So how do you make up the gap?
Well, that's what we're working on now. For the first time in LINC's history, we have a developer. And so we are starting to look at individual donors. We are starting to look at foundations, as well as we're starting to work with the city and county. Because LINC serves over 7,000 children a day.
Wow.
And if and it is a free program to those children and those families. And so when you think about turning 7,000 kids on the streets at 2:35 and 2:45 and 3:45, that's a lot of children to be at home alone. And so, we're going to be reaching out to the county, we're going to be reaching out to the city and those foundations to fill in those gaps as we go through these cuts.
And it's interesting that we're in a time where you want to take food away from kids and take services to give millionaires tax cuts. There's something that's just fundamentally wrong with that approach to things.
And when children come to school hungry, it is no joke. It's no joke. They cannot function if they have not eaten since they left school or since they had lunch the day before.
Yeah. And that's just not right. And then in addition to that, making sure there's washers and dryers in the schools so they can clean their clothes in case there's a problem at home.
We've made sure, and we work with the school districts to make sure that they have washer and dryers. And then also with families who need, clothing for their children, they reach out to us and we help do that as well. So
you all are just a one-stop fits all kind of service, huh?
That's what we would like to think. So many of our children are suffering. We have so many children who go home, and when they hit a switch, nothing happens. And when you have to function like that as a child and expected to come to school and learn, it's just too difficult. It's too difficult. And so whatever we can do to help them be successful, that is our job. And one thing about LINC, we're constant, because a lot of kids in Kansas City and Hickman and Center, they go from school district to school district.
Right.
But the one constant is whenever they go into one of those elementary schools or the middle schools, they see the blue shirt. And that is a constant in their lives, and we want to remain a constant in their lives.
So in addition to all of that, do you help with health issues as well, mental health issues in the home, maybe some alcohol problems in the home? Do you all connect them to resources?
Yes, we connect them to resources, and we support our families, whatever we can do to support our families, but we do connect them to resources, and we help them follow through on those resources.
So what about volunteers? Do you have a lot of volunteers, or are the people that work for you all, are they staff?
Most people who work for us are staff. We do have volunteers, but we do have to vet the people who work with the children, and so they have to have background checks, and so most of them are staff. Okay.
So now let's shift away to one of the shining stars in LINC, Palestine Community Center.
I'm so excited about Palestine.
So how's that going?
It is going amazing. The partnership with Palestine Senior Facility is amazing. When we started working with Palestine, and I know a lot of this is due to COVID, there were probably about 60, 65 members who were coming, and not on a regular basis. And at this time, we have over 400 members. And it is just an amazing thing to watch these seniors kids at Palestine just simply enjoying themselves, building relationships with one another, having those conversations, going into Palestine, watching those senior men play dominoes. They talk a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, they do.
Playing dominoes and cards and the line dancing and, just really enjoying themselves. And not only that, but being able to meet some of those health needs and bringing in resources that seniors need and conversations that they need to have, whether it's about, health care, whether it's about, I need a wheel. Whatever it is that those seniors need, we try to bring in people to have those conversations with them. But they are just enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I go by there every now and then just to duck my head in. And it's really good to see seniors actively doing things, and they're using their mind, and they're down there playing dominoes and talking trash. But they have the aerobics, the exercise class. They can get their blood pressure checked there as well. So
and
it's
not
really
only that, they have a meal there every day.
Absolutely.
They provide a meal, and I mean, they not just provide no microwave food. They frying catfish down there. So, I try to stop in there every now and then myself.
And it's affordable.
Yes.
It's affordable.
Yes, it is.
So that's one of the great things about it. The membership is affordable as well as going there eating the meals. So the future of LINC, what do you see?
I see that there's a great future for LINC. I don't think Kansas City can survive without LINC or organizations like LINC, because it takes that village, and we're part of the village. And so I see a bright future for LINC, and I see a bright future for the children and families that we serve.
So it's a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
So do you all have a fundraiser?
We have never had a fundraiser, but we are looking into doing fundraising, because there are some hard times ahead of us as we try to serve children and families. So we are starting to look at fundraising, but we really are pushing out, trying to get some of our county and city grants, as well as looking at some of the foundations to support.
So do you think that the city and the county do enough investing in people? We have a lot of parking lots and garages and things that they spend $20 and $50 million on, but are they really invested enough in kids?
Well, I think that we have to hold them accountable. We have never been funded by the county. We've never received money from the city or county, but on the other hand, we've never asked. And so now we're asking. So, yes.
And Morning Star is one of the satellite locations for the activity center, not the church, but the activity center.
Yes. And so Morning Star is where you can go for utility assistance. You can also, that's where we also support some of the food distributions from up there. And so if there's an immediate need, Morning Star is another place you can drop in.
Okay, so what are the hours that you can drop in? And what are the hours for Palestine?
Palestine is 8 to 5, and then the Morning Star is the same, 8 to 5.
Monday through Friday?
Yes, Monday through Friday.
Okay. And what are some of the other programs that they have there? You said utility assistance.
And food programs. Also, they are working with GED classes. They're also helping with young people who are trying to find jobs. So, yes, they just, a lot of good things happening there.
So when you look at the overall landscape of Kansas City and you see little things and say, oh, there's a need there, let's see if LINC can fulfill those needs.
Yes, and so we immediately start trying to find out, who do we need to talk to, who do we need to partner with, how do we support, and we're constantly asking those questions in the community. What can we do to help you? And so, yes. And
so one of the great things that we learned over the weekend about LINC, because we had one of your directors on the show, is that the investment part of what LINC stands for, local investment, is investing in people.
Investing in people. And we don't do enough of investing in each other. And so that's huge at LINC, is investing in people. When we are working with children and families, we're not just doing handouts, we're investing in their future.
So if you had like an unlimited budget of $1 gazillion a year, what would you invest it in?
I would still invest it in people. From, I say from cradle to the grave, I would invest in people over and over again.
So when you look at the violence and you look at all of the things that are going on in the city, how does LINC figure out a way to get involved in that to help curb some of that violence?
Well, one of our programs, we're working with OSCO and the Posse, and we have classes during the before and after school time where we're working with children on violence, and we're also working with them on character and how character counts. And so those are one of the programs that we do every day in every school, working with them, talking to them about violence. We have them doing pledges, against gun violence, and really talking to them about what guns really do to people. And so those programs are going really well. And we're talking to them about their character. You can't walk in Walgreens and take that man's Snicker and think that there's not going to be, you have a responsibility in this as well. So we're really zoning down on character with the children that we work with. What is our responsibility and what does character look like? And we tell them, your true character is what you do when nobody's watching. That's who you really are. And so really trying to, invest in their character.
What about conflict resolution?
Yes, that's a constant conflict resolution, because children really do not know how to get along anymore. And I think COVID even sent us back, a little further. The social skills are just off. So we're constantly talking to them about, I always say giving people grace. And even when I go in schools, you'll hear kids say, Miss Janet, I've been giving people grace. Give people grace. Just because somebody steps on your tennis shoe don't mean that they were trying to harm you. They might have just lost their balance for a minute. And so talking to them about giving each other grace, but also being able to build relationships. When children learn that they're more alike than they're different, they tend to be a little less violent. And also just teaching them how to build relationships with one another, how to get to know each other, how to respect boundaries, but also how to care about your fellow man. And a lot of our children don't really, they are not taught anymore that they are their brother's keeper. And we're trying to teach them, you're your brother's keeper. You look at your friend, and if they are lacking, you should be ready to step in that gap even as a child. I remember when I was I was young in school, and we would be at lunch. And if somebody didn't have a lunch or couldn't afford a lunch, and I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, we would tear it in half and share it with them. And so trying to bring those values back to children that, we are responsible for each other.
Do you have activities for the kids? Because one of the things that's just kind of nerve-wracking to me is kids sit in front of computers all day if you let them. My son, I have a 12-year-old. If I let him sit in front of his PlayStation 24 hours a day, that's where he would be. So we try to get him out and get him socializing with other people. So are there programs that you have that let him go maybe to a football game or a baseball game or that?
Yes.
So it's about those kind of things.
So it's interesting that you brought that up. Also, for the first time in LINC's history, we have an athletic director, Jason Irvin, and we have really zoned in on some of those physical activities because children are sitting too much. And so we are doing, last year we doing basketball teams. We have partnered with Boys and Girls Club, so we're working with them. We have football teams. We have really invested in mindful movement. For some it's known as yoga, and this has really been interesting in some of the schools. We try to do mindful movement before kids start class in the morning to prepare them to go to class. And some of our students have never taken yoga, didn't think they would be interested in it. We piloted it at 3 schools, and all the schools kept asking for it. So now mindful movement is in all of our sites. We also have boxing classes. We also just did a bike run in Grandview where we're teaching students how to ride bikes and actually getting bikes donated to some of our students. So yes, we are really pushing for some of those outside activities.
And Girls on the Run.
Girls on the Run is a big one. I mean, Girls on the Run is an amazing program because it helps girls with their self-esteem, but it also helps them with their physical and their wellness. So, yes.
Yeah. Erica was on Girls on the Run when she was in, I think she was 7th or 8th grade.
Yes.
She was in that, and she loved it. She loved just intermingling with other girls from different schools and different parts of town. And I think it was good for her.
And I think what's huge, we also, we're known for chess. Our students are probably some of the best chess players in the state, and we have chess tournaments all the time, and they're across Kansas City. So students, from, let's say, ACE are playing chess against students from Fort Osage, and our students are coming out on top. I mean, so chess is a huge program that LINC does.
Lee Bohannon. What
Lee
does he
Bohannon.
do? I couldn't end this interview without talking about Lee Bohannon.
Lee Bohannon is amazing. He still works with LINC. He works with our site councils. We have a parent group in all of our schools where Lee Bohannon helps us with. And this is amazing because these are citizens making decisions for themselves. What would you like to see in our programs? What would you like to see in your community? How do we help you? So Lee Bohannon is a big part of our site councils.
So, as we wrap up, how does the community support you?
I think the community does an amazing job at supporting our work. It's not financial, but it's in every other need that we have. It's volunteering when we need it. It's really stepping up. If we have children who have needs, I'm able to go to the community if there are things we can't do. And, even some of the community businesses have given us washing machines to put in schools and so the community does support the work that we do, but we're going to be calling on the community more than we ever have before because we're going to make it through the next few years and we're going to make it through those cuts and we're going to come out on top. So,
all right. My guest today was Miss Janet Miles Bartee. Thanks so much for joining us. And LINC you can connect to it with several schools in the Kansas City School District. Website is?
Yes, www.kclinc.org.
All right, you can go there and click on and find out how you can support, be it a volunteer, be it just making sure that you throw up a prayer for them, especially at these financial challenging times. So again, thanks so much for joining us. As always, I have the greatest viewing audience in the world. Till next week, remember, tough times don't last, tough people do. Until next time, peace.